Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am sitting here with Palmer and Michael from Emmitt-Scorsone. And, you guys think about great wineries that you get to know and some people that come around in your life. And you come across some young guys like this that are so cool. And they are the definition of a boutique winery. Over the years I've gotten to work with Michael because we've done some. I've known this guy since he started a long time ago with a winery a long time ago that started in Petaluma, and I've watched him really grow up. We've done a lot of tastings together, some very intensive tastings, and let's say a word for Don Sebastiani, who put together a lot of those great tastings. And Palmer, you've been there too.
And some good ones.
Yeah. And some very good ones. We all love wine. We all love Sonoma County, and we're tasting right now is a Grenache Blanc. And to be really honest, we're just getting ready for an amazing event that's going on here at this restaurant. That's why you hear rattling pans in the background, is because it's going to be outside, and it is the Rhone Rendezvous, which I invented a while ago, about 4 years ago. This is the 4th annual. This is a big sellout today. But, we're going to be talking a lot with all these consumers out there about the success of Rhone varieties. Really, what got you guys into Rhone varieties like Grenache and Syrah and things like that?
My first aha moments were definitely at culinary school, and I was only 19 years old.
Did you hear that? Culinary school, you guys.
Yeah, and then I was doing a harvest internship at Nyers Vineyard.
Oh.
And of course, between Aaron Jordan and Bruce Nyers, they're heavily involved in Rhone varietals, and Bruce was importing wines through Kermit Lynch. And I remember specifically the biggest aha moment I had. Bruce Nyers was pouring a whole lineup of DRC Pinot Noir, Romanée-Conti.
Wow.
And we were all eating lunch, and I poured myself, I was still very green. I poured myself a bottle of wine, and I absolutely loved it. And I remember asking Bruce, this is the best Pinot Noir I ever had. Where is this from? Is this expensive? And he said, no, that's like $30. It's from Gigondas. It's Grenache. And so here I was drinking all these expensive DRCs, and my favorite wine was this cheap Grenache from Gigondas. So that always kind of stuck with me. And then, of course, working with Aaron, going to Rhone Rangers and Paso Robles, and working on the coast with Syrah, Grenache, Viognier.
About Viognier from John Albin.
Yeah, Viognier from John Albin. And
these are good names, you guys. So
and
if you don't know them, we're talking about some of the greats, that made this, that started the name flowing out there. Bruce Nyers is a very good one. Aaron Jordan from Fela Wines. John Albin, who really, there's a lot of clones out there, actually, of John Albin clones.
All of our Grenache clones are John Albin.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there'd be no Viognier in California without John Albin.
Yeah, and Palmer, how about you? I mean, I know you because you got a damn good cellar, like me. Like you're a nerd about wine and stuff. But really, what kind of got you into about starting a winery here in Sonoma County? Let me say one thing that's really important about where this winery is. It's Dry Creek Valley, you guys. And Dry Creek Valley is celebrating its 40-year anniversary this year. I got to do an amazing seminar with them, and Michael was on that panel. It was just to celebrate, the accomplishments there. But don't forget, it wasn't just like 40 years ago that they started planting grapes there. They started a long time ago. We're talking about back in the 1860s and 70s that they were planting grapes in this area. So, but Syrah has really come about, and Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre, things like that. We're starting to really get to know it. What really was one of those moments for you?
Well, I mean, the biggest one was when I first met Michael, and he was working at Fela, and I was really into Pinot at the time. But when he first poured me that Fela Estate Syrah, for years and years and years, I've told people, if they say, "Well, what's your favorite wine?" that's not one that you make, and I would say that Fela Estate Syrah, really, really special vineyard, had big Syrah from, Shiraz from Australia, big Syrah from the Central Coast, but tasting stuff grown in a cooler climate on the Sonoma Coast, it was that really an aha moment for Syrah. And probably when I first tasted the Viognier, you made it at Fela, I mean, it might have been the first Viognier I ever tasted, and it was a pretty good entree into
Yeah,
into a Viognier.
that
So,
bringing up that Syrah is actually a great segue
Yeah.
as to why we grow Grenache.
Well, let me say
So,
one word too, just on my behalf.
Yeah.
Working, doing stuff with Aaron Jordan too. So one of the great things that I did, I'd say that whereas I get a call one time, it was Dan Dunn who wrote for Rob Report, and great guy, one of my good buddies. And he said, "Sawyer, listen, I need a pairing with lamb. Can you give me what's a wine that you would pair with lamb?" I said, I got it. Fela Hudson Syrah, which is a cool climate area, and he printed it. I get a call about a couple months later from Aaron Jordan, like, "What the hell did you do, man? You just sold me out of my wine." I'm like, "Oh, sorry, dude. That's what you get when you make great wines. Is you expect to be sold out at some point, and you put it in front of the right people, and you're telling them what to really pair with it." I hope I made people's float on clouds that time that they did buy that wine. But that's the kind of moment you can have with these wines and why it's so special for us. And so getting into Grenache and all these great things, let's talk about that. But by the way, Grenache Blanc here, fantastic. Great mouthfeel, a lot of texture. This has become a really fun variety for us to really talk about a lot. We're going to be tasting a lot of it out there. I've got 25 producers that'll be pouring. And this is a really good example of really what's happening right now. What do you like about Grenache Blanc, you guys?
Well, Palmer actually has a great story. I guess we'll try to, give you, broad. He won a contest by blind tasting Grenache. Grenache Blanc.
Wow.
And he won a trip. I'll let him.
It's his paid trip to Champagne.
What?
Yeah, Grenache Blanc was the one that won it for me. So Michael stumbled across this Grenache Blanc vineyard owned by Seha down in Carneros, and called me up and said, "Well, I think this is a really special place. Are you interested in Grenache Blanc?" I said, "Well, that's my favorite grape varieties." Won me a free trip to Champagne, and
this vineyard lines the driveway to Jack Chambers' Worm Farm off of Arnold Drive.
Yep, exactly. You
Right
gotta love
across
worms, you guys.
From Jesus Sejas.
Worms are important. Got worms? Yeah. I know exactly where that is. It's actually in a pretty open space there, too. It gets a lot of wind coming through.
Very cool. Yeah.
It's right there looking at Sonoma Mountain, basically, and it's kind of in the fat part of Sonoma Valley when it's going towards the bay. So
what's interesting for me is that it's in all three AVAs. It's in Carneros, it's in Sonoma Valley, and it's in Sonoma Coast.
Isn't
so
that
you
crazy?
kind of get the breeze, the fog, but the soil, especially on this block, is just totally different from the rest of Carneros.
So here we go into red. So we're talking about Grenache, not Grenache Blanc now. So tell us a little bit about that and how Syrah kind of got you to Grenache.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So going back to, I was fortunate enough, Aaron had all these amazing Syrah vineyards on the coast, and his style, he worked in the Rhone, and all his Syrahs were usually whole cluster, lean and perfumey, really pretty. Didn't use a lot of new oak. Long story short, Palmer and we have our humble little winery in the West Hills of Dry Creek. It had 30-year-old Syrah planted there, and we tried making wine from it, but every year it was just a little warm, a little bit higher sugar. It just was not an A+ site for Syrah. And I only felt that because of my previous experience.
And did you hear that? A+, you guys. That's what we were always looking for.
We always want A+.
Wine.
I mean, it made great wine, but it was just like
it was a monster
of a wine.
So Palmer and I, obviously we're like, we need to source Syrah from the coast, which we did. We made some Syrah from McAvoy after begging them, and then another one out in Occidental. I like being able to see the ocean from Syrah vineyards or Pinot vineyards. So we quickly, we literally chainsawed the tops of all these Syrah vines in Dry Creek. And of course, our first phone call was we wanted to get organic John Albin clone Grenache, and we called Phil Cattori right away. He said, you're in luck. We're pruning. We'll put some away in cold storage for you, and you'll be ready to go. So we field grafted our vines, which were over 30 years old.
Wow.
And we had a 90-something% take. which was
90%,
on small
90
vines.
plus percent take
Yeah.
and grafting vines, you guys, is
Love
not,
it.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's like an amazing stat right
Yeah,
there.
and that was April of 17.
Wow.
So we got a small crop that first year, and then this is the 19 last year. So this is the second 100% estate Grenache. that
Well,
we did.
it's 100% delicious. Hello. What I love about it, I mean, it's tons of red fruit. It's packed in there. This kind of, there's a wildness, there's a rusticity to it that's so great. It's like I can taste rocks, I can taste,
Yeah.
herbs, I can taste everything around it. It's very Dry Creek to me.
I think you're hitting the nail right on the head, and that also I think has a lot to do with the Alban clone itself, because I've been fortunate enough. I had a friend that I worked with. We planted a Grenache vineyard years before that, and we used all Tablas Creek clone. And that clone to me was very heavy cropped. It was on the thinner side, very perfumey and fruit forward, but didn't have what you just described, that kind of raw edginess to it. And all the Alban wines I've had or always had that more depth, more structure. So it's a no-brainer to go for Alban clone.
That's great. Today we've got Kivira here too, and they're another great Dry Creek winery that's really got Grenache too.
Yeah.
Dry Creek is really special, you guys. We're finding out so much more about Dry Creek. In the old days, a lot of people just said, "Oh, Zinfandel and Petit Syrah, and love it." And Sauvignon Blanc, never get to sell that short, because you've got the great David Stair there, who's like one of the greatest, most epic guys ever that really bought into Sauvignon Blanc and made the world better for us. But this is really great just to taste two great versions of Grenache. But let's get really into this blend, because this is kind of more the heart and soul of what this winery is about. And tell us like a little touching story about this this amazing label too. It's just a cute label. It's kind of the old cursive looking thing, and this is really something. This you'll also see. Let's both see this one a little bit more up close.
That's
too.
not me. That's Grandma.
That's Grandma. This is Grandma here, you guys.
That is her passport.
Grandma is important to us, and so this is a fun thing, and I just love these wines. And this one has really, this one at the Dry Creek, we were at the Madrone, which is this great restaurant in the whole area here. We all know what the Madrone is, and we had a great dinner that night. The best dish, in my opinion, in the pairing was with this wine and what was going on there. Tell us a little bit more about this wine.
Sure. Well, this is, I guess, if we had to put a region on it, you'd probably have wine similar to this from Priorat.
Yes.
Because it's Palmer and I, we wanted to make an estate blend and really represent what we're growing at Dry Creek. And it's Petit Syrah, Grenache, and a little bit of Cabernet. We kind of have the east side of the vineyard where the Petit Syrah is planted, trying to keep it a little bit cool from the afternoon heat. So we picked the Petit Syrah, a couple rows of the Grenache, and then we have a hillside cab. The east side kind of ripens later, and so it's always a perfect blend to have those three varietals.
And we pick it on the same day and try to co-ferment it.
Exactly.
It's amazing. I mean, I just love, there's a little bit of tension in here too. It's got fruit, but not tons of fruit, which is really important. You really talked about that before with that one wine. It was just too big, you know? And when you really talk about, pairings, especially like here at Gravenstein Grill, what I do with pairings and everything is you got to have, it's about paying respect to the food, and really having this accent and have them work together. And if it's just a big bunch of steaks and stuff, just keep going with cab. That's fine for you guys. But there's too many complex flavors on the plates now. So this is a really good example of one that can really pair up so nicely with so many things.
I agree 100%. And that's what we talk about with this wine all the time. It's definitely the food wine. The Grenache, it's, the Grenache is like a Swiss Army knife. You can drink it by itself with food, but if you really want some structure to stand up to all dishes, like you were just saying, this is our go-to for sure.
The idea of this Gusto Rosso, it's kind of like the elevated red table wine. It's not Italian grapes, but it's that Italian style,
But it's
Gusto Rosso, you guys. Gusto Rosso with Scorsone. You feel it. You feel it here. These wines are awesome, you guys.
Thank you.
You guys can find out more information, Emmitt-Scorsone Wines, look them up. And come visit us, you know, in Sonoma County and Dry Creek Valley. The wine growers of Dry Creek Valley, support them 100%. They are my great friends. And it's great to have you guys with us. And let's go have some fun out there right now,
Yeah.
okay? Cheers, you guys. Varietal Show will be back.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, Chris.
You
Thanks,
got it.
Chris. Appreciate it.